Okay, well, that was Paul Middleton from the British Business Bank talking to us now. We've got a couple of minutes, I think, before our next speakers are. While we're waiting for them, just a reminder to you to keep in touch with us today. You can leave your comments, any questions that you've got. Chat facility. I think one of my colleagues is sat at home and also fielding social media questions and queries as well. Do share this today. Do let people know that this event is happening today and tomorrow. If people can't make it, then don't worry at all, because actually in a couple of days' time, you'll be able to watch everything again, a bit like Netflix. You can watch at your own convenience from Friday, I believe. I'll just check with the team that that's correct, but you can watch again. So if you can't stay with us for the rest of the day, you can dip in and out when you like. And don't forget as well that we've also got lots going on in our Flourish studio as well. So if you're getting a bit fed up with seeing me, then you can always hop over to the other channel. Now, let me just have a quick look at the time. I think we're all running up to date and on time now. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep on to the theme now of business startups and supports. And what I just want to sort of make you think about that. The lunchtime sessions now, we're going to change pace a little bit. We're going to be focusing on that startup journey. So, do you have a great idea and you're thinking about turning it into a business? Is it something to do? Are you in a position now where maybe you're coming to the end of furlough and you're thinking, what am I going to do next? Or actually that you've had a long-held ambition to set up your business? Well, if that's the case, you're going to be interested in our next two sessions from MENTA and Hethel Innovation. Which I'll come to shortly. But also on the Flourish stage, we've got a session starting shortly called Funding Fit. So that can give you an insight into innovation funding, how to apply for it, introduce you to some connections and networks that could help you get your venture off the ground. So I think support is actually really important. It can be a lonely world out there if you're starting up on your own. You tap into that support and that help. It is available, and it's just really finding how you can find it. So look at that. Click on the other live stream if you want to watch that. But if you're going to be staying with us now, I'm delighted to welcome a couple of people I know very well, in fact, because with one of my other hats on as a business trainer at MENTA, I work with these guys. Now, I'm not going to say anything else about them. You can make up your own minds about them. But I'd like to hand over to John Clark and Pauline Proctor from MENTA, and they're going to be talking about how to turn your business dream into reality.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, good morning, isn't it? It's still morning here. Yeah, I'm sorry. From a very bleak day in Wyndham, which is where I'm based, and Pauline's with me as well. Hello, Pauline. Lovely to see you this morning. I haven't got too much time. So what we're going to do, we're going to rattle through our top 5 tips for starting a business. So really, we'll waste no time in doing that. Let's have a look. So we're both from MENTA, so you can contact us menta.org.uk. These are, we actually normally run workshops. There's 3 workshops in the series, and we look at everything from how to start a business to marketing to bookkeeping and taxation. In fact, this afternoon we're running a bookkeeping and taxation session. So what I'm going to do today is sort of give you some highlights really of those courses, which are funded by the European Regional Development Fund. So anyone who's looking to start a business, it's not going to cost you any money at all. It's probably worth about £1,500. So it's a real great thing to get into. So anyway, let's not waste any time today. We're going to talk you through our top 5 tips for starting a business. And I would say these apply to, some of these things will apply to anyone actually, whether you're just starting or whether you've been running a business for many years. Some of these things are sometimes worth revisiting. So Pauline's going to chat to us a little later about some of the loan schemes, the government startup loan, and what grants are available. So we'll be hearing from Pauline in a little while. Hopefully I'll have a chance at the end. I'll have a little chat with Sean and we can bring out some of these points, maybe expand on them. So here's our top 5 tips and we'll have a look at them one by one. The first thing, if you ever watched Dragon's Den, I would say this is the thing they will always tell you about. If you're looking to start a business, research is what they'll tell you. So research your market. We're going to give you some tips on how you can do that and where you can get some really quality help. Then we're going to look at that the classic thing, which you'll all be told about. You must write a business plan. In my experience, I used to work for NatWest for about 25 years. Most people only write a business plan when they have to, i.e., if they need finance or looking for a grant, we need a business plan. But I think we'll see that it really is essential, I think, to make sure you don't miss anything, to give you direction. Really creating a business plan, hopefully you'll see, is a great idea. At MENTA, we've got some fantastic templates which can help you through the whole process. It's a very focused business plan, very well structured, and I think if you approach it in the right way, it can be something that doesn't have to be the big ordeal that perhaps many people think it is. So that's a business plan. We'll have a look at that. Then we're going to think about, I suppose, every business plan that I've ever seen, the two things that people tend to get wrong. One of the things I'll certainly get wrong generally is the numbers, getting the numbers down in an acceptable format. And I can give you some great help on how to do that. And again, we've got a lovely spreadsheet, which is quite unique, actually. And we'll have a little chat about that later. So how to understand the numbers, how to understand if your business is viable. And during that little we will also look at funding options, and Pauline's going to have a chat with you about that as we go through. Right, so then I would say, you've got 4 and 5 together there. Look, clicked, never mind. So professional image. I would say that your self-confidence about your business and to make you look professional to the rest of the world. Creating a professional image is one of the things that you can do at the outset that will make a massive difference to how you feel about your business and how other people see you. So again, we'll give you a few ideas on how to go about that and how to avoid some of the mistakes that we see. And finally, plenty of advice and support out there, as I think we're probably seeing today as we're going through this fantastic Restart Festival. So much help and support out there, and make sure you take advantage of it. Much of it is free, and so free advice, what could possibly be wrong with that? So here's our top tips, and so let's just go through them in a little detail and try and give you a little bit more on each subject. So we said the first top tip is to research your market very well. Okay, so that's all very well, people saying market research, but actually how do you do that? Where do you start? I would say here are key steps to market research. So let's have a look at them. Very, very simple, really. The first thing, I think it's a great idea, just to sit down and write down what you do not know. So get a piece of paper, write your business idea in the middle of that piece of paper, and then, from that, write down everything that you do not know in terms of what customers need, in terms of service levels, in terms of who your customer may be, where may they be, what are they looking for, and really just try and drill down onto that, on what things you don't know, what the pricing is, what the market price is. Write down what you don't know, and then use your market research to fill in those gaps. The first place I would start, though, is find out what's already out there. Sometimes people waste an awful lot of time doing their own research, doing their own surveys, their own studies, when actually there's some really useful market research reports out there that have been undertaken by professional market research companies who they've done the work for you. So, that's a great place to start. And then you can after you've looked at that research, you can then drill down and do your own research related to your area, etc., etc. However, once you have done your market research, you've then got to think, okay, what's it trying to tell us? In many cases, sometimes market research gets shoved in a business plan and sort of forgotten about. The key thing is to think, well, okay, what's it actually telling us? What does this research tell us? Interpret that information, and then most importantly, then act upon it. I think generally, in my experience, once you've done your market research, there should be something that you will do differently that you would not have done had you not have undertaken market research. So I'm going to bring Pauline in at this point to just Pauline, what are your views on market research? You're dealing with a lot of business plans. Talk us through your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, businesses they use methods of market research. I mean, a brilliant one that I always use with clients is I find that looking at some of the cobra sheets, which I think you might be bringing in later and talking about that, but like you said, it can be a wealth of information, and it actually cuts out a bit of work for you as well. If you've already got that information in front of you, you can use that to inform your business plan, and then add to that by just doing some maybe localized research.
Yeah, great advice, Pauline. Absolutely. So let's have a look then. Pauline mentioned some information there that you can get. Let's have a look at this information. Great place to start. Really, you're trying to find out these things: the who, what, where, when, and why of running your business. If you ask a load of people, if you ask a market research expert which one of those questions is the most important one, I think they'd probably say why. Why is the most important? What makes someone running a business is essentially about getting someone to put their hand in their pocket and give you some money, and understanding what the drivers are is so important. Why would they choose you above somebody else, etc., etc.? So why is often the biggest question. And just a little tip where people sometimes go wrong with market research. We'll tell you a little story. Stories are always good. There was a lady who's opening up a wedding dress shop, bridesmaid shop, wedding dresses, etc., etc. And her market research was concentrated on people who are getting married in the next couple of years. So she was sending an online question, something like SurveyMonkey, to people who are getting married in the next couple of years to find out, what their wedding budget is, where it's going to be, how many guests, etc., etc., what wedding dress style they're looking for. And she did essentially get a lot of information back because, as I understand it, people who are getting married like to talk about it. Is that true? I think, yes, I think you probably know that. So, okay, so she said that was really good market research. Although, again, if you ask the market research expert whether that was good market research, probably not, because she's potentially asking the wrong people. And this is a very common mistake when people are doing the market research. She's asking people who have not been married yet or going through the process. The people she really needs to speak to, I hope you agree with me this, Pauline, the people she really needs to speak to are people who have already got married. Because the tendency, though, of course, is not to do that because you think, well, I don't want to speak to someone who'll never be my customer. So market research is not about getting customers. It's about finding out information. So if you ask someone who's recently got married those questions, what do you get? The right answers. If you said, how much did you spend on your wedding dress? You're going to get the right answer. You're not going to get someone's estimate of what it might be. So asking people who've already spent money is a great tip, market research. Don't think you're trying to get customers. You're trying to find out what's happening in the market, and that's a great way of doing it. What extra support then can you get? Now, we're very lucky in Norfolk. We've got the fantastic forum at the Norfolk Library, the Norfolk Business Library, which is on the second floor. Now, of course, it's been difficult over recent months, as we all know, to visit. But when we can get access to it again, there is some unbelievable information that they've got, generally at no cost. So let's have a look. Pauline mentioned it. There's a website called Cobweb Information for Business, and sitting within that is something called Cobra. Cobra needs a login, so it's quite an expensive platform. So you can't access this from your home. But if you, once you can get along to the library, or actually contact Mentor here to help at mentor.org.uk. So that's here to help at mentor.org.uk. Then we may be able to help you during the times when the library is not available. But there are basically fact sheets on pretty much any business you care to name. Whatever your business is, there will be a fact sheet on it. It will cover market research. Won't just cover market research. You're going to get plenty of information on the legalities of starting a business, things you need to think about. What license do you need? What are the local regulations? It's pretty much a one-stop shop for someone looking to start a business in a key area. And there will be, you'd be very surprised if you visit, when you can get into the library and get into this system, you'll be surprised. They will drill down to some very, very sort of, small business types. You will find I found a fact sheet the other week on how to run a Jamaican restaurant. So it's not just how to run a restaurant. These fact sheets are drilled down to that type of level. So I really couldn't recommend Cobweb enough. So yeah, Pauline, great idea, Cobweb. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Also, if you want reports that are slightly, perhaps more a wider industry based, so perhaps like the catering industry, there are sort of major reports, and this is something from a company called Ibis World. Again, these reports would cost you an awful lot of money if you were if you were to put your hand in your pocket and pay for them, you don't want to do that, because pop along to the library again. And the major libraries have access to IBIS World. Actually, the one we looked at previously, which is Cobweb, that's available at some of the smaller libraries. I think even here in Wyndham, where I am today, I think Wyndham Library's got access to that as well. So, but this from the IBIS World, these industry-wider reports, you're going to find those at your major libraries. So certainly Norwich. Get along to the forum when you can. Let's hope we can do that very soon. So these are great places to start with your market research. Right, next up, I told you we'd be rattling through this at a pace. We're already hitting the business plan. So creating a business plan. The hardest thing about creating a business plan is, I think, actually getting pen to paper and starting it. So what I would say, my top tip for writing a business plan is, don't try and write a business plan. It's almost like I'm going to write a book. It sounds like a dreadful task. What you need to do is break it down into its smaller parts, and then you attack it in stages. And if you do that, then you'll find that a business plan will come together very, very quickly, particularly if you take the advice, join one of our workshops, one of the European funded workshops, which you can find details on at mentor.org.uk. These workshops will help you through the process. But really, just as a bit of a snapshot today, let's have a look at a business plan structure. Now, I'm not going to go through, I'll put it up on the screen. You can see all the various sections, I hope, as they're all appearing in front of us. And there we go. Whoops. Let's go back one. Can I press the back button? Yes, I can. There we go. Right. So I was getting too enthusiastic with the clicker there. So really, have some fun with this. Really, I would say getting a hard copy is a great idea. So get yourself one of those folders with loose leaf sleeves in, and create a nice front cover. Put a nice image on there, maybe a logo or a photograph. Presentation is everything. I've spent a lot of time over the years looking at business plans when I was at NatWest. I've also sat on the government startup panel. Government startup loans coming up in a second, but the having sat on those panels and looked at lots of business plans, you often can book by its cover. If the front cover is well presented and looks very professional, you do tend to find that what's in the business plan will be very similar. You're going to get the same sort of quality. So spend a bit of time on the front cover. It's worth doing. Gives you a great professionalism. The most important thing, I think, is potentially the business summary. I've read too many business plans over the years where I'm lost. I don't know. I'm on page 20 and I still don't know what's going on. Make sure you hit them right away. You know, I think the next slide, in fact, I know the next slide is going to give you a little bit, a few tips on how to put a business summary together to make your business plan extremely punchy. That's it. So everyone knows what's going on, giving everyone else clarity, but just as important, giving you clarity. That's what it will do. So as you see, as you go through the sections there, some of those will not take too much time. A CV, you can probably throw one of those together relatively quickly. You might already have one that you can just drop in. You just might need to fine tune it to say, well, you know, this is why I'm the right person to run this business. The legal and health and safety stuff, well, you can get that from your Cobweb market research reports, the Cobweb reports, which I said mainly market research, but they also have all the legal stuff in there as well. So you can just use that. You just drop that in. So that's a bit of an easy hit. The financial section of a business plan, okay, that's a hard one if you don't have the right tools to do it. But at Mentor, we've got all the tools you need to do that. A fantastic spreadsheet, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a little while. So that's something that, you know, without the right tools, that's quite a difficult section. But with the right tools, it can be something that's quite, you know, relatively straightforward. Market research we've talked about. Marketing plans, yes. Okay, well, we run workshops on. We run a 4-hour workshop, which is part of that European Regional Development Fund funding, where we'll talk you through all the key areas of marketing. So that's a great thing to join us on. So yeah, there's your basic structure. Now, I'm not going to go through all of those today, simply because we don't really have time to do that. One thing I would say, though, many people, when they're writing a business plan, they miss that last one off. That's that final overview. This is where you pull your thoughts together. And if you're looking for funding, a great tip is to say at the end of your business plan, instead of letting the business plan hit a brick wall, just pull your thoughts together and say something like, well, I've researched my market thoroughly. We're as confident as we can be, because there's never going to be any guarantees, and no one will expect you to offer guarantees. We're as confident as we can be that we can make this business work. And you can say something like, one thing I do know is we're going to give this 100%, and we're going to be totally focused. And then maybe something like, we really look forward to working with the startup loan company, the government startup loan, moving forward. It's quite a powerful thing. If someone's sitting on the edge, looking not quite sure whether to lend you the money or not, that final overview can be extremely powerful, particularly if you give it well, we're going to give it 100%. We're really going to be focused on this. And that's one thing we can, that's one thing we will guarantee. If this business fails, it won't be for lack of effort. And that sort of thing, that goes quite a long way when people are reading business plans. Again, Pauline, you've had a great deal of experience looking at business plans. So that final overview important, yeah?
I think so. And that is the part that I love, because it really gives you an insight into the person or the people that are running the business, and, what it means to them to get this thing off the ground. So, yeah, I totally agree with that one.
Yeah. But often people miss it out. It's they don't give it enough attention. They spend a lot of time on the rest of the plan, but that thing at the end, just finish it off. You've got the front cover gives you the start, nice content in the middle, and then give the thing an ending as well. Sort of like work. Just to go back to that business summary, how to make your business summary very, very punchy and give you loads of clarity. The way to do that is to cover those 4 things. Simple 4 headings. I would say 1 page, maximum 2 on this. If you're writing more than that, then you're writing too much. You really need to simplify this. If you're in front of Alan Sugar and he said, "What's your business idea?" He wouldn't want you to waffle. He wouldn't give you much time to waffle, I doubt. He'd say, "Tell me what do you actually do?" He'd say. So make sure you hit them with that straight away. Tell everybody what it is you do, and don't let that be sort of something you're for some reason hiding up there. You don't want to release it too early. Release it early. What is it you do? Exactly that. Then next point, who are your customers? Who are you trying to sell this product or service to? Try and describe a typical customer. Difficult to do, but that you really need to try and nail that if you can. And then how does your business operate or work on a day-to-day basis? Who does what? Number of times I've read business plans, and I get the idea, but I don't know how it works on a day. Who does what? I mean, someone once said they were, we're selling children's clothes, and you say, well, okay, but how are you doing that? I mean, are you selling online or in a shop? Oh, no, we're doing it online. Okay, it doesn't say. Do you make the clothes? Oh, no, we don't make them. You can see what I mean. You can suddenly, you've got to tell the person reading it exactly what happens, follow it through a typical day in the life of your business in as punchy a form as you can make. And then finally, the one where you really need to have a bit of courage, it's the financial summary, where you really need to say, okay, how much is it going to cost us, to start this business? How much is it going to cost? And where is that money coming from? Be very clear about that. And then, based on projections that you will have included in your business plan, you need to state what the total sales you think you can achieve in the first year, and what the likely profit level will be. And we've got a little bit more on profit and loss coming up in a few seconds. So really key to this, and this is really important. If you're putting a plan together, this sort of 4-stage focus thing, what you do, how does it work, and how much money do we think we can make? This gives the person reading it the clarity that they need. So hopefully, that's and it also gets your business plan off to a great start. Right, business plan writing style. This will speed things up for you. If you wrote your business, I don't know, you just have a read of that's in front of you at the moment. That actually comes from a real business plan. I lifted that directly from a business plan. I've just changed the names. So that style of writing is all very well, and hopefully it reads okay. But actually, I don't really want to see a business plan written in that style. This is how I would like that information to be presented. There we go. It's exactly the same information presented in this very focused. If I looked at that previous slide, all I'm going to do is get my highlighter pen out and try and highlight the things I need to know. There were basically too many words there. What we've done here is given it the same information, exactly the same. If you missed anything out, it's just presented in a better style. People reading business plans just want information. They don't really need to have, like the third point, established 1978. It does it. We don't need to say the business was established. We don't need to do that. It's just too much. Don't need to do that. So that's a good tip on how to make this business plan very, very punchy. And of course, it also saves you an awful lot of time as well and gives it a lot of focus. So that's another tip. How to, right. Tip number 3. How are we doing? I think we're going to be all right. Yeah, we had half an hour to do this. We're going to cram in 5. Understanding the numbers. What you really need to do here is we've got a great spreadsheet that'll do it for you. So you can type in what your startup costs are going to be, and it'll automatically transfer them into what your bank account's going to look like, something called a cash flow, which is all a cash flow is really. It'll just tell you what your bank account's going to look like over a 12-month period. And we've got a spreadsheet where everything's linked together, and ultimately it will give you a profit and loss statement. So really, let's think about this. I mean, really, how do you know if a business is viable, and what do people do when we're looking at a business plan to decide whether what you're going to do is viable? Well, this is how we would approach it. Here's an example of profit and loss account. I'm gonna put the whole thing up here first of all, and then I'll talk you through it. Right. So very, very simply, a profit and loss account is simply the total amount of money you take off your customers. Right at the top, that's something called turnover. In this case, it's 70,000. Then we take off all the other costs, and that leaves you with the most important figure, which is your net profit. So in this very simplistic example, we've got total overheads of 21,000. We've also got the cost of sales, because this is a situation whereby someone's obviously selling stuff. So if you're selling stuff, the cost of sales is the cost of the goods to you that you have sold. So that's the cost of sales. That's only there really for people who buy and sell products, really. Gross profit is not usually there if you're in the service industry. So if you're in the service industry, you may not have a gross profit, but you will certainly have a net profit, or hopefully a net profit. So there's your net profit, in this case 20,000. So is the business viable? Well, on a workshop we'll cover in great detail what the net profit has to cover, but essentially a net profit needs to cover 3 things, and if it can cover those 3 things, then on the face of it, your business is profitable. So the 3 things would be, you've got to pay your tax, so a little bit's got to come off for tax. Then you've got to repay any loans that you may have. That's got to come out of your net profit as well, and what's left is for you. So if you can cover those 3 things, then you have a viable business on paper. So there we go. That's a top tip to get behind profit and loss. Sadly, not really enough time today for me to go through that in great detail. So to know more about that, then please join us on our workshops. We'd love to see you, and we'll go through that in a much more timely manner. There we go. So I've just given you an estimate there of how this could work. So in that case, we've got a profit of 20,000. I'm trying to click that. That's done there. So there we go. A profit 1,000, and then we've got £3,000 going out in tax, 2,000 to repay, say, a loan, the total loan repayments for the year, and then your drawings would be 15,000. If you could live off £15,000 a year, then you've got a viable business there. So that's really an example of how that would work. So let's move forward, because I know time is not on our side. There's our lovely spreadsheet, which you would get free, actually, as part of the funding, on the free funding that's available from the European Union. So it's a fantastic spreadsheet, links all those things together. You put the numbers in, and it does all the magic behind the scenes, and it will automatically produce a profit and loss account statement for you based on what you tell it, based on how many customers you think you have, what you're going to charge, and you can alter all these things around until you find out what are the numbers that makes your business work. You're not trying to guess the future when you're doing forecasting. A lot of people sort of think, well, what's the point of writing this down? We could pretty much say anything, put any old numbers in, which of course you could. But what you're trying to find out is what are the numbers that make your business work. And then it's a case of, once you know what the numbers are that make it work, then it's a case of reflecting on those numbers, going back to your market research and thinking, right, well, is it realistic? Yeah, we know these numbers work, but is it realistic? But it's a great starting point, that spreadsheet. Really would recommend that you join us and get hold of that. Right. At this point in time, I'm going to hand over to Pauline, who's going to talk you through this lovely government startup loan. Pauline.
No, thank you, John. We at Mentor not only offer support, but we actually work with a partner called Transmit Startups. And Transmit actually deliver a startup loan, which is actually part of the government-backed loan scheme. So in terms of businesses applying, if you're a business that's under 2 years old, so up to 24-month-old businesses, so if you've been trading for a little while, you can still go in for this loan. The loan is, the interest rate at the moment is 6%, which actually I don't think is too bad out there in the marketplace. Obviously, businesses, if you've tried to get loans from banks at the moment as a startup situation, you may be struggling just a little bit to find a bank that will do that for you. So if you're in a position where you've gone to a few banks or you may not have gone to a few banks, but you're actually looking for finance, then talk to us at Mentor, because we can take you through the process. So in terms of how it works, it's an application online. We then work up a business plan with you. So you will actually be credit scored at the front end and search. So, expect that to happen at the front end. And then if you go through that, then we'll look at your business plan and your cash flow forecasting. And I'm actually here to help you get that together. So if the thought of doing that horrifies you and you think I'm never going to get through that, then, don't fear. I'm here at the end of the line as a critical friend. So I'll actually review everything that you put up the line anyway. So if something's not looking quite right, I'll come back to you and I might challenge you on some numbers, or maybe even something that you've put in the business plan, so it's just right before it goes up the line for its first assessment with Transmit. So in terms of what you can borrow, it's an amount of 500 up to 25,000, and that is per director as well. So if there are more than one director in the business, if you're a limited company, then you could go potentially for 50,000 if that's what you need. So the loan's spread over 1 to 5 years. You'll get quite a lot of mentoring as well from the Transmit startup people, as well as everything that we do for you here at Mentor. So I would say it's a really good scheme. It's not easy. It's not an easy process because it'll take a good 2 to 3 weeks to get you through, but we're here to support you with that. So please don't feel put off by any documents that you have to pull together, because we'll hold your hand through that. So if anyone out there is interested, then do, come back to us and we can help you with that.
Fantastic. Yeah, get some help from Pauline. Yeah, definitely. Get help. You can get help with these things. Just so, yeah, do it. Grants and support. Back to Pauline on this one, I think, as well, Pauline. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So in terms of grants and support, I get lots of emails from people that are looking for grants for startup businesses. And, the landscape is pretty varied depending on which area you happen to be setting up in. If you happen to be setting up in the West Suffolk area, we're really lucky because we have West Suffolk Council who have dedicated a small grant scheme to startup businesses under 12 months old. So this grant scheme will cover things like capital items, equipment that you might need to buy. So if you're setting up in West Suffolk, get in touch with me, because you could potentially apply for a grant of £1,500. Other than that, I would definitely suggest that you have a look at your local council's website, because they're launching new things all the time. So you might see something out there that might apply to you, depending on which area you're in. And I'm conscious of time, John, so I'm going really fast.
Yeah, so that's okay. No, it's fine. The last thing, yeah, we're at time almost here, but yeah, create a professional image. Get some help on creating. The best money you can ever spend is going to see a graphic designer. A lot of people try and do it themselves. Don't try and do it yourself. If your gas boiler breaks down, you'll get a gas engineer in. Do the same with a logo for your business. You'll never regret it. It will be the best money you've ever spent. I think me and Pauline are out of time, so it's been an absolute pleasure to join the Restart Festival today. I hope you've enjoyed that. It was a bit of a rapid run through of our top 5 tips for business. I hope you enjoyed those. Remember, contact us at mentor.org.uk, or you can actually email Pauline direct at pauline@mentor.org.uk if you need some help from Pauline. We would love to help and give you some further support. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I don't know if you're still with us, actually. I was going to ask you a couple of questions, but I can't see you on the screen, so you may well...
I'm still here, Sean.
You're still there?
Okay.
I'm going to...
Yeah, we're still there.
There you are. Okay. John, just out of interest, what's the time on the cooker clock? Because...
on the clock, Sean. It's actually 12:15 on the nail. So
12:15.
Yes.
Yeah, well done. I have to say,
Yeah.
just for the benefit of those who are watching from home, and John's just condensed 4 hours worth of presentation that you can enjoy in a training session into about half an hour. I've never seen you fly so quickly, John. It's really well done. But just a couple of questions for you both, actually. And Pauline, I was just going to start with you, if I may. Are you seeing a lot more people coming through then, particularly what's happening with COVID? Are you seeing more people who are perhaps thinking about starting a business that you wouldn't have seen before?
Absolutely. We have had so many emails. You know, I get a heap of emails every day from people that are inquiring about startup situations. They're inquiring, the main sort of theme is looking for grant funding, which is difficult because, you know, the startup situation, grant funding, there is limited funding, to be honest, and we have pockets of it around the region. So I just have to go back to these people and tell them what's available. And then we talk about the startup loans, which I think are an absolutely brilliant way to start, really, because, you know, you can go for as little as 500 up to 25,000. So if people are looking for that little bit of money to get them off the ground, it's a perfect place to go, really.
And you obviously see businesses in all sorts of shapes and sizes that come through and that look for support. I mean, people may have an image when they think about, you know, an entrepreneur. They might be thinking of your Alan Sugars or your Richard Branson stuff. But I mean, what sort of people do you see that come on the workshops? And also, how do you know if you've got the right mindset to run your own business?
Is that for me or for John?
I'll start with you, Pauline, then John. Let him chip in if he wants to. It's fine.
Yeah, quite often, you know, it is about having a bit of a reality check on some of these ideas that come forward, because, you know, you can have a good idea, but at the end of the day, is that idea going to make you enough money? And sort of going back to what John was saying about the numbers, it is really about looking at overheads of a business, and, you know, all of the things that, you know, the outlay really of getting something off the ground. And the bottom line is you need to be making a profit so that you can draw some money, because, you know, there's no point in having a big turnover for a business if at the end of it, when all of the costs have come out, there isn't any money left for you, because, you know, that's why you're doing it, to make money and pay your bills. So we do have some interesting conversations, and sometimes people really appreciate that reality check, you know, and somebody just being a critical friend. And that's what we tend to do at Mentor. We are that critical friend that is prepared to give somebody an honest, you know, feedback to what they're trying to do.
I mean, John, do you see the mixture of businesses that you see then? I mean, are you seeing a lot of, I guess, lifestyle businesses at the moment, or are you seeing a lot of, you know, kind of growth businesses? I mean, I just wonder, you know, why people might be, because I think the numbers are going up right now, aren't they? You're seeing more people.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more people. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's been a time for us all to sit back and reflect, and I think there's a lot of that going on. People are thinking, actually, I want to change in direction and start my own business. Is perhaps something that people have always had in the back of their minds, and now it's something that they can really think, actually, I wonder if I can do this. And coming on the workshops, so we're seeing lots of people maybe that maybe want to go into consultancy because they've got a great deal of experience in a subject area, and they think they can now apply that. But really, I've always asked this question, you know, what type of businesses do we see? Really, many and varied. I mean, really, there's probably no business type that we haven't seen, and I don't think there's ever any workshop we undertake where where there's the same again. It's not. It's always different. The greatest thing, though, is it doesn't matter what type of business you're running. The rules of business are very portable. They'll work for any type of business. So it doesn't matter whether it's marketing, finance, customer service. You'll find that the same rules can apply to any type of business, which is a great thing, really. Certainly great for us. It helps us deliver when we know that.
And you also, because you were mentioning, both of you, about the numbers that you're dealing with. I mean, this idea of putting together a professional-looking business plan, which, John, you were running through. But sometimes you hear people say, well, do I need that? You know, do I have to do that? I just want to get going. I just want to get up and running. I mean, you know, is it an essential to have? I mean, why would you recommend that they do this?
I think, in my experience, working for NatWest for many years, and I think, of course, it is possible to start a successful business without writing a business plan, and people have done it, and that's so. Yeah, and I would accept that. However, when you speak to people who have done that without a business plan, if you ask them, they'll usually say, "Well, yeah, we got there in the end, but I wish we'd have planned it more carefully. We'd have had an easier journey." So I think, having a business plan, you will almost certainly spot things that you would have missed, particularly on the numbers, particularly on viability, without sitting down with a decent spreadsheet that sets the numbers out so you can see very clearly what the effective pricing is, the numbers needed. You can then drill down, to how many customers you need a day in some instances, or every 5 minutes if you're running a coffee shop like that. You can be that sort of, you can drill down on those numbers, and without a spreadsheet, it's very hard to do that, and you might just be running the risk of sort of taking a bit of a chance and hoping for the best if you don't have a plan. But there are lots of views on it.
I would totally agree with that.
You agree with that?
I would agree. Quite often people start with the premises. I want a coffee shop, and then you have to look at the overheads of that shop, and then that reality check is how many customers have you got to serve in a week to actually pay the rent on that shop. And it really is getting down to that granular detail, which sometimes people miss if they don't do the plan and the financial forecasts.
Okay, excellent. John, just give a reminder then of the workshops. If people are interested, you've whet the appetite. If they want to get involved with these workshops, what do they need to do? Where do they need to go?
Okay, 3 fantastic workshops. The first one's a bit of an introduction to business. Second one's marketing. Third one's bookkeeping and taxation, which is much more exciting than it sounds. You contact us at mentor.org.uk. Have a look on our website, mentor.org.uk, and you can click on Startup Training, and there's a breakdown of exactly what's covered in the course, so you can see exactly what you're going to get. And the best thing is, it doesn't cost you anything because it's very kindly funded by the European Regional Development Fund. So it's a fantastic facility, which I absolutely recommend you take advantage of, and we would absolutely love to see you.
Okay.
And can I just add one thing, Sean, just quickly? If everyone does go on the workshops that are watching this today, and then at the end of those 3 workshops, they still feel that actually they'd like some more input, we do actually offer some one-to-one sessions, so that can be on marketing or general business advice, help with financials. So that's available as well if people want to take advantage of those sessions. They are chargeable sessions, but it's a very low fee, should I say, for support if you need additional to what's offered in the workshops.
Excellent. Okay, well, we're going to have to leave it there. So thank you both, John Clark, Pauline Proctor from Mentor.
Thank
See
you
you again very soon, and good luck with the rest of the workshop. So thanks both for joining us.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.